Hi, today I'll be talking about how the movement works in Latale based on my own experience. First of all, the game will give you a basic notion of the keys that are set as default, like using the arrow keys to move and C key to jump. You can change this or any key that you want to use at any time going to options and then shortcuts. If you just started playing the game, it will probably feel slow, sometimes even clunky, but trust me, it gets way better as you progress through the game as you are able to increase your movement speed. Jumping can be used in various ways and I think it's pretty intuitive to some extent. For example, if you jump to the right and either keep the right key pressed or let go and use your second jump, it will go to the right side. If you jump to the right, then press the left key and jump again, you will end up jumping to the left. Now, there is one thing that some people might miss, and it is that if you jump and then press the down key while midair, you will jump up inside, stopping your horizontal movement completely. This helps you to land on a spot that you could miss jumping regularly or even reach some platforms that are above you. When interacting with ladders and ropes, there is some interesting motions to note. You grab the ladder with the down key if it is on the ground or the up key if it is above you. You can move up and down on it. If you press the down key twice, it will let go of it, but if you press the up key, your character will grab onto the ladder again. You can jump off the ladder and go back to grab it. Now, there is this one thing. I'm not sure if you could call it a glitch, but it can be used to go up the ladders really fast. If you keep either the left or right key, the jump button and the up key at the same time, it will do this. A few notes about it. You will need a considerable amount of movement speed to recreate it consistently, and even then it might not always work. You can also do it while being on a ladder with enough movement speed. All you need to do is jump out of the ladder and go back keeping the keys mentioned before pressed. Ping also has an important role while doing this. If you have too much or too little ping, you might not be able to do it. Be careful when you do this though, because there is this spot at the top of ladders and ropes where you could trigger a bug that will send you flying to the top corner of the screen if you use a dash skill. It mostly happens in dungeons and it could make you lose a run because you have to get out of the dungeon to fix it. However, you could also avoid it if you're fast enough and press a skill that kind of resets your character's momentum, like the magical classes teleport or the physical classes backdash. The timing is a little tricky, so if you miss it you won't be able to press any skill anymore. The next thing I want to talk about are basic attacks, and you might wonder what basic attacks have to do with all this. Well, there is an interesting mechanic within the game that could be used while moving, especially while mobbing in a dungeon. So, if you're running in a dungeon and you get hit, depending on the damage you receive, it might knock you back. This also happens pretty often while jumping, and it is a very annoying thing that might also get you killed. Well, besides all the common things that are used to avoid this, it is possible to ignore the knockback if you use a basic attack in the air. Just press it right after jumping. Another thing I got used to doing when I had higher ping was using a basic attack to do a sharp turn and then use a skill. There is also this interaction the basic attacks and some skills have with the edges of platforms. If you press it at the very end of the platform, you can get a small speed boost. I think these things might come in handy sometimes, I don't know. You can try them out if you want to and play around with them. You might already know this, but you should understand your class on a mechanical level. Identify which skills can be used to move around and to save you in case you are in a tight spot. Some skills can help you while being hit with knockback. As I mentioned before, physical classes and magical classes have at least one dash skill or teleport, and some classes have skills that give an impulse to your character like Demigod's Fujina, Rainius Maelstrom or Windstalker's Blitz, to mention some examples. Some of them might also be different while they are not awakened. Awakening is a whole system which I'm not trying to explain right now, so you can look it up. There is probably guides out there if I haven't made one by the time you watch this. You can always ask for advice to a player that uses that class too, if you find one. Another thing I want to share with you is that you can also make use of different skills to be able to cast some other skill that cannot be used midair. For example, Rainia's Water Bomb can be cast midair if you use dash, backdash, maelstrom, or even aqua shot before it. Just note that if you cast it too high up off the ground, it sometimes doesn't work with some skills. Finally, I want to add something that I think has correlation with all this, and it is mobbing. I want to give a brief explanation and some advice mostly aimed at new players. It could help to have an easier time clearing stuff once you reach a certain point in the game. Mobbing is basically gathering the mobs in a dungeon by making them follow you to attack them together. Doing it correctly not only reduces the time you take in a dungeon, it also reduces your chances of dying sometimes. Advice number 1. Don't mob too much. Start slowly, always trying to find the sweet spot for you. It could become counterproductive if you start dying because you gathered more than you can handle. 2. Learn how to kite. Kiting is a term used in the Latale community that basically means hitting while moving or running away. You won't be able to survive if you stand still too much past a certain point, unless you use a tank class or something that has a lot of immunity skills or shields. But even so, the mechanics that some mobs and bosses of higher level dungeons have might kill you if you are not careful. You want to avoid being hit as much as possible. This is basically learning how to use your character again, but you have to try and practice moving all the time while attacking. 3. If you want to make mobs drop off a platform, you have to get on a certain spot located diagonally under or above it. Some mobs are more likely to drop than others. There are 3 useful pets with active skills that you should get that will help you mob and survive in general. Patchwork Bear, which gives knockback immunity for 8 seconds, Kenshiro gives immunity for 2 seconds, and Kylum gives immortality for 10 seconds, lost regeneration by 50% per second for 30 seconds. Thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next video.